district of Dalmanutha.
Thank you. Well, we're thinking about blessing and what it means to be blessed, what it means to live in God's blessing, to bless others. And today we've read from the ESV version for the one simple fact that in that reading, Jesus blesses fish. Jesus blesses fish. And well, I need all the blessing I can have on my fishing experiences. My grandfather had this sign at their place saying, "A bad day fishing beats a good day working." And that's fair enough, except that it might make you very hungry if you come home without any fish. And that's been my experience of fishing. I'm not very good at it. I love going out. It seems to be a wonderful day out in God's creation, whether I come home with something or not. But we're looking at that, and we see some amazing things in this passage where Jesus is with his disciples. And you get the sense of urgency. There's a lot happening. It's very action-packed. And in Mark's gospel, it always feels very action-packed, and it's always immediately this and immediately that and immediately that. It's like, go, go, go. There was a lot going on. But you get the sense when there's so many people around, it's a little bit chaotic and active. And it turns out on this occasion that no one has really thought to plan ahead and organise enough food for so many people. But what do we hear in Jesus' heart is that he has compassion on them. He cares. He cares that we're fed. So sometimes people can get this idea about the Christian faith. It's like it's all in your head, it's all in your heart. It's just kind of like something that you think about, or it's a philosophy. Jesus cares that you are fed physically, that your physical needs are met. He cared about the crowds then. He cares about you now. Are you hungry? Have you not had enough morning tea this morning? Jesus cares that you have nutrition and you're able to do the things that God has called you to do. Jesus has compassion on you just as he has compassion on others. How many people in the world right now are not being fed enough? Jesus has compassion on them. But it's always interesting reading when Jesus receives what food there is, and it's obviously not enough. And so Jesus gives thanks for the bread, and here it says he blesses the fish, and all of a sudden it gets distributed, it gets set out for how many? 4,000 people. Somehow they've all had enough from just not much, to the point that there's leftovers gathered up afterwards. It's a miracle. We're meant to read this as a miracle. This isn't meant to happen. This isn't possible, but Jesus makes it possible. Now for us, as 21st century Westerners, most of us, it's extraordinary reading, right? How does that happen? We live in a culture that's going to be asking scientific questions about that. What is the molecular breakdown of what actually occurred? Was it just that everyone took enough, like a little piece, and like a little flake of fish and a crumb of bread, and that was just satisfying for them? Like it was just, it was the quality of it, not the quantity? Or was it a quantity thing? Like it just actually multiplied, and you split, like... We think like that. We're trained to think, asking very scientific questions about it. And then we find it hard to comprehend that this is even possible. And if you go out and you talk to friends, colleagues, neighbours, what will they say of this passage? Well, they'll say, well, maybe it's made up. Maybe it didn't even happen. But today we're thinking about blessing. What does that mean? What does it do? And the wonder of blessing in a very disenchanted world. We live in a disenchanted world. And that's not just a few individuals feeling a little bit down on themselves. This is a long cultural trajectory. So you can read a book, if you're really up for 900 pages of heavy philosophy and history, you can read Charles Taylor's A Secular Age. So some of you are quite academic, A Secular Age, and that's looking at why we are the way we are these days in a secular society. And he describes life now as very disenchanted. Compared with people who lived in the Middle Ages, if you were born in the Middle Ages, you would see enchantment everywhere. And by that he means everything is infused with something deeper and bigger and more powerful, and there is more going on than you can ever imagine. To the fact that objects carry power, there are things hidden behind everywhere. You walk into a building, there is more going on than just bricks and mortar. And you would assume everywhere there is something more going on. Nowadays, in a secular age, we look back on that and we say, oh, that's just superstition, it's magical thinking, it's a bit weird. And something has happened in Western thought and Western thinking to cause that. That's a big shift. Some of that is scientific thinking, like looking behind the bricks and mortar and finding behind and turning over the stone. And well, what's under the stone and why does it cause that? They're good questions to ask. One of the downsides culturally, this is widespread, is we're now disenchanted. We've found the reasons for everything almost, and now nothing is meaningful anymore. It's just stuff. Doesn't do anything. In fact, life has no meaning. For many people you will talk to, we're just the best phrase we can come up with is we're stardust. Have you heard that? Has anyone said here? We're stardust. Which is trying to put like a good spin, like it sounds wonderful, we're stardust, on something quite depressing, really, that actually it's not meaningful. And that in 3 generations, no one's going to remember who you are. We come from the dust and like it's all gone. And that's it. There's no bigger narrative than that. There is nothing more to say. That's the best society can do now, is to say, you're stardust. And some of that is a result of looking down, looking at the object, looking at why is this the way it is? Why does this object fall at this rate? Why does this stone cause a disease? Why does this plant do this? Looking at the object, looking down, down, down. And that's one of the dangers of looking at this passage through a secular lens, and you might not even realize you do it. But you look at this and we're looking at the fish. What did Jesus do in the blessing that did something to the fish? And we think, well, maybe with the right blessing, we could change the fish. Maybe with the right blessing over the kids, they'll have a wonderful year at school. Maybe with the right blessing over my finances, it'll just grow. It'll multiply like the loaves and fishes. But the more we look at this passage and what Jesus does here, the more we realize Jesus is not looking down. His eyes are not on the object. His eyes are up to God the Father. He's not looking at the object. He's looking up. The wonder of blessing is to be looking up and not down in a disenchanted world. What do we learn from Scripture? We learn that the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. Do you know there is this stream of thought in Christianity that says, and this is even more stark in Jewish thinking, that if you take something, if you use something in the world, if you eat some bread in the world without giving thanks to the Creator, it's like theft. Whoa, that's interesting to think about. If the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, these are property rights of, who owns everything? If the Lord owns everything, and we're just stewards, we're just kind of coming and using what is being given to us. If we use it without saying thanks be to God for this gift, and we're not acknowledging the owner of it, it's like theft. Now, I think that might be maybe pushing a little far, but do you see the power? It's interesting. And then I think, well, how much of my daily life have I sat on this chair, appreciated the cushion, appreciated the car that I'm able to drive, appreciated the food I get to eat, acknowledging that everything has come from the Lord's hand. And when I haven't, what am I saying? What am I saying to God? But what am I saying to myself? When I'm not acknowledging, I'm saying I own this, it's mine, I can do whatever I like with that. I've earned this somehow. Well, we actually see quite a variety of blessings. What did Jesus do when he blessed the fish? Which of these was it? Because Jesus also said, blessed are the, and then we have the Beatitudes, blessed are the poor in spirit. That's actually quite a different kind of blessing there, and actually a different word is used. That means happiness in essence. It's the blessed life, the happy, joyful, wonder-filled life. Blessed are they in the Beatitudes. So that's one type of blessing. You also might know, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you with favor and give you peace. That's a different kind of blessing. That is like a human to a human saying, bless you. That's a human speaking to another, kind of asking God to bless. Then there's also, I will bless you. God saying to Abraham, I will bless you. And then it says, and I will bless those who bless you. There's a lot of blessing going on with Abraham. And that blessing overflows. So that's God directly blessing Abraham. We actually now live in that blessing. We are the children of Abraham because of the work of Jesus. And then we have, blessed are you, Lord our God. Can you see how that's a little bit different? Blessed are you, God. You're the one of blessing. Blessed are you, Lord our God. It's a different direction. And what we can almost say for certain is that Jesus, when he blessed the bread, when he blessed the fish, this is what he was saying. Very common, very regularly used phrase at the time and to this day by our Jewish friends. They say, blessed are you, not in English. They would say this in Hebrew or Aramaic. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe. And then it would go on with the particular type of blessing. So for bread, it would be, blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. We can almost say with certainty that that's what Jesus said over the bread. But it's a very common thing. So is there anything, is there something that it's doing to the bread? Well, that's not even the focus. The focus is, blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. The eyes are up to God, not down on the bread. If it was something that didn't come from the earth or from a tree, then it would be this. So probably for the fish, Jesus would have said this: "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings everything into being by his word." It's beautiful. It's an acknowledgement that everything that sustains us, all the nourishment that we need, comes from God. And we're filled with wonder and awe, respect, thanksgiving to God in all things. There's a wonderful challenge in the Jewish tradition as well, is to find 100 blessings a day. To say this 100 times a day, to find things throughout your day. Now, maybe 100 doesn't sound like much. If you start trying to do it, it's quite challenging. Like you can kind of run out of creativity pretty quickly. So, but maybe you want to try that though. If this is something particular for you, like to appreciate more. If you feel like you're living in a disenchanted world where it's all just meaningless, it's all just stuff, lifting our eyes to God, maybe that's a challenge for you to think 100 times a day, can I find 100 ways to say, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who does whatever it is." 100 different ways. Well, here are a few creative ones. And I'm not making this up. This is a "Blessed are you, Lord." This is a blessing for after visiting the toilet in the morning. So when you wake up and you go to the toilet, you do your ablutions, here is what you can pray. "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who formed the human being with wisdom and created within him many openings and cavities. It is obvious and known before your throne of glory that if even one of them were to be closed, or even if one of them were to be opened, it would be impossible to exist and stand before you for even a single hour. Blessed are you, Lord, who heals all flesh and performs wonders." Now, once we get past the toilet humor and the giggles about it, it's actually beautiful to appreciate and give thanks to God and to recognize that if any of my valves stop, I'm in trouble. I can't stand before the Lord. And so I can stand before the Lord because he keeps it functioning and he heals. How beautiful. If you can't sleep at night, or if you can pray this anyway. "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who lets the cords of sleep fall upon my eyes and slumber upon my eyelids. Blessed are you, Lord, who illuminates the whole world with his glory." So there's many that people have written, but you can come up with your own. How could you live a life less looking down? And we've got to look down, we've got to see what's there. But in all things, receiving and acknowledging, looking up and saying in all of those things, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe. For you created the seasons. You bring the rain. You give life. You build community. You give us good work to do." Let's see if you can come up with 100 each and every day. Well, we say, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever." We used to always say this after a meal as a family growing up. "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever." And as a kid, I always thought it was "endures forever." I thought it was like a family thing. And then I saw the words written and I'm like, oh, okay, it's not about us. It is actually all about God. But maybe that little aha moment for me as a kid growing up is for all of us. It's not about me. It's not about like how wonderful. Actually, the wonder comes. The delight comes in this life. The enchanted world, not the disenchanted world. The world full of the mysteries of God. The world full of the spiritual realities. The world filled with light and colour, shade, heat, cool. All of that comes from the Lord our God. And it should be directing our attention to say, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his love, his mercy goes on forever. We have so many reasons to give thanks to God and to say, blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe. Well, let me pray.